Okay, this next video, there's actually two techniques that are gonna kind of work. They're really similar, they're just done slightly different. So the technique is called inlay, and it's also known as mishima. So you can see here's the poster, and I have an inlay right on the clay, okay? And I also have this version of mishima with wax. So both very similar technique where you're basically breaking the surface with a sharp tool, applying an underglaze, and then wiping it off, okay? So I'm gonna start off with just the regular on the clay surface. So I've got this leather hard form here and an X-Acto knife. Now, you can borrow an X-Acto knife from me for this project, but I'll have some out as you guys are doing these experiments. But basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna break the surface with the knife. You don't have to cut all the way through. I wouldn't recommend cutting all the way through, but you're gonna essentially carve a little design. And you can see this kind of example of how I just drew some lines down with the X-Acto knife. So I might just add some kind of cool little swirls around. And I might overlap them a little bit, just for fun. I'm carving in, letting this X-Acto run around. And you can be as precise or free-spirited as you want with this. Okay. All right, so I've got a bunch of little slices all over that I did, okay? So I did that on that. Now let me show you that on the wax. So this is a cup that was waxed first. So I took this wax resist and I painted a layer all over the entire form, okay? And then it's dried. So you can see the wax as it's wet is kind of blue, this nice wax resist. So the stuff that's dry is just kind of shiny. You can see how the form's just really shiny. So I did this 10 minutes ago and it's totally ready to go. So now I can do the same concept. I can do lines, I can do something very precise like you see in this picture, right? This is very precise line work. You could do some kind of decorations. And the more precise you get, obviously, the more time it's gonna take. So I might just go around and just draw some of these little half circle petal-like things in different sizes for the fun of it. And I'm breaking the surface of the form and also of the wax. Okay, and now I can kind of cut a little bit of a wiggly line around here. All right, now you can use other tools. The X-Acto knife works kind of good for a specific line. You can use other kind of tools if it's easier to draw. You're just scraping away the wax. So with the mishima, the wax is actually a little bit easier to use various tools on. So if it's not working to hold and draw with the X-Acto knife, I totally get it. I don't really like the feeling of that either. So try a different tool and try the wax technique, okay? So this is just using one of those XM tools that has a nice sharp little point, kind of like a pencil. And I'm just drawing in some little lines here, okay? All right, now obviously go on and on and on and on and on. Draw lots of little lines. I could keep going. I might draw a little secondary little line down here for fun. Okay, maybe some circles around. It's actually really kind of satisfying to draw in wax on, makes kind of a neater line than just drawing straight in clay. Worth experimenting with. All right, so let me hurry up on this. Now I started with my dots, I gotta keep going with them. Almost there. And then I'll show you what to do. So after you've done cut into the form, and you've done all the designs that you want to do, you want to try to get some of the junk out of the lines, and you can use a paintbrush to kind of knock those out, or your fingers work sometimes pretty well. Okay, good enough. All right, so now I've drawn a bunch of little designs on there. Makes a little bit of a dusty mess, so be conscious of that. All right, next, I'm gonna use a brush, fan brush, with my black underglaze, and I'm gonna apply this to both forms that I just cut into. Go right over the surface. With the Mishima and wax, the inlay with wax, the wax resist is actually going to resist a lot of this glaze right off the bat. So you can see that it's kind of not sticky. It's kind of bubbling up as you would imagine it would if you put glaze on top of wax, as we've all experienced. So here I've done that nice little layer of glaze all the way around, and you can see how it's just kind of, it's keeping it away, okay? I'm gonna let it dry for a little bit. On this one, I'm gonna do the same thing, okay? But the glaze is just gonna kind of, it's gonna go in these little lines, but it's not gonna, it's gonna stick everywhere because it doesn't have wax. So you get a little bit of a different look because you'll see a little bit, you can in parts, if you leave it, see a little bit of where the glaze was wiped away from the clay and where it kind of sticks in the lines, okay? So I'm just gonna put a nice thick coat and try to have your fan brush go in like a few different directions. Okay, there we go. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, so now you gotta let it dry. So this is like the, this is gonna be the part where I say, we're gonna pause it here and I'll come back on this video in a minute to show you what to do once it's all dry.